Number 1. Are we going to get another 7-game series? We'll see what's in store. Kassio right away from kickoff, looking to put something towards target. Blocked away by Atow. AcroniK possession on his sidewall. We'll work it down the field. Rezears going to take over and hand it over to Kassio. I'm excited to see what kind of strategies we see here. I have a feeling, Bass, we're probably not going to see as methodical of a game. I think we're going to see a little bit more ball chasing, a little bit more aggression, maybe a little bit more mechanics as well.
I gotta ask, because I know you didn't do the seeding alone here, but did you do that intentionally? Just put 2 of the most like mechanically ball chasing teams in this entire tournament up against each other? Just went, all right, you know, we'll have probably the most clever of game to start off, and then after this, just that. What on earth, AcroniK and Atow?
Nice stuff here from Atow. Just a soft touch. Gonna catch Rezears off guard. 4:19 on the clock. Great start here to game number 1. Rezears with some space. You know, Bass, we see this all the time in 1v1s. We don't see it too much in 2s and 3s, but maybe we'll see some air dribble bumps. I know during Rizzo and James Bott's Turf Wars, they started calling it the ADC. Stands for air dribble cringe.
Oh, boo. Come on, man. I like the demo. Listen, I get most. Okay. I want to call that a little bit cringe. That's just funny.
That is funny. And I think with most people do enjoy the demo. Anybody calling it cringe, you know, you just got to get better at avoiding the demo. But I think it's a funny name, and we do see a little bit of physical aggression there from Rezears, allowing Kassio to put one in, and we're all tied up 1-1. Atow gonna make me eat my words. Immediately, this Liquid squad is gonna reclaim the lead here straight away from kickoff.
Hey, listen, that's, you know, we've seen a lot of kickoff goals here today. I don't think that this series is going to be any exception. In addition to that, I might even say that this may have more kickoff goals than anything else we see. When you do have 2 teams that are this aggressive, usually that means kickoff goals are a little bit more, let's call it frequent, if you will, especially when everybody's just diving off the kickoff immediately. Again, that cheat up in 2. Shout out to CJ. I think he had a tweet when he came to North America for the LA Major, and it was like, hey, just a heads up to everybody that plays 2s in NA. Cheat on kickoff. Just every single time, just trying to get people to do so. The message was heard loud and clear, all the way over to EU, as a matter of fact, because we're seeing everybody dive at every single play. It hasn't worked out for a 3rd goal yet for Atow and AcroniK, but, man, they're looking good with their mechanics right now. Not a single miss in terms of flip resets or anything similar. Like I said, but Kassio does not care. Defense on the line, impeccable. Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
Bass, what happens if the first flip reset doesn't work?
Try again?
You try again. Look at him. Atow, he says, AcroniK, that's a nice try. Let me see what I can do. He puts a flip reset on target. The Liquid squad extends that lead to 2. 3-1. 3:05 on the clock. Rezears and Kassio definitely going to have to be weary of the aerial game. AcroniK and Atow, some of the most mechanically talented players in the scene. And this 2v2 arena provides them some space and some opportunities for creativity. Kassio, an awkward challenge. He will keep it out of the net for now. AcroniK, not wanting to go back to defense, cuts across the field, keeps this on the orange end, but only for a moment. Kassio there for a challenge. Rezears going to be beaten to this. Can he knock AcroniK off his path? No, he can't. Atow and AcroniK both up. Looking to make something happen on the offensive side. Rezears, a nice play. It's kind of that underside follow-through flick. Not going to be enough to score. Atow, keep it out for now. Ball flies out into the middle. AcroniK looking for the shot. Not able to get it past the last defender. Kassio. It's one out for now. AcroniK over to the sidewalk. We've seen him do this in RLCS. Looks for the attempt. Gets it towards the net, but not on target. Kassio up to the backboard. Doesn't have a whole lot of boost to work with. Atow will send it away anyways. Rezears back on the defense. Booms one back towards the blue team backboard. Oh my goodness, Bass. AcroniK pops high, and Atow just hanging out on the ceiling. It's going to keep one on offense. AcroniK once again exercising the flip reset ability, and he will capitalize and put in a 4th.
All right, well, game number 1 of our last series was kind of, I'm not going to say a snooze fest, but it was definitely pretty timid, slow paced, and as we got further into the series, that's when the action started to start. This one did not do that. Atow and AcroniK come out the gates firing, and I mean not just firing with like a random pistol, it's a hand cannon at this point. My oh my, everything they have shot on target has been absolutely disgusting. Again, you think back to the flip reset that Kassio saves, if you're having to make saves like that in game number 1, you better get ready. You're gonna have a lot of time on your own side here if you're Kassio and Rezears.
Yeah, and you know, we briefly mentioned them at the very beginning of the show as a team that could do well, and I think all these teams in this 2v2 are obviously impressive and have the ability to win. An awry touch there from Rezears could cost them. But I think this Atow and AcroniK team is one that probably is going to go a little bit under the radar. And maybe we should have paid more attention. Once again, we see another flip reset attempt there from Atow. AcroniK opting to back off in a 1v1 situation. And Rezears flicks high, a little bit too high. AcroniK with a demo on the last man. Rezears has to rush back. Can he get back in time? AcroniK, a narrow angle to work with. Bounces off the post. Atow with a slow shot. Rezears back just in time. Now can they counterattack? Looks like they will. Rezears. Wait, Rezears just a bit too far. Kassio can't reach it. Potentially a counterattack the other direction. Atow off the ceiling. An awkward play. Bouncing in front of the net. Rezears will keep it out for now in a 50-50. Will maybe give this Rezears and Kassio team time to breathe.
Oh boy, this is looking a little bit awkward right now for Kassio and Rezears, though. It feels like every play where they've had some coordination, it's just one of the two of them steps up when it counts. Speaking of steps up, my word, AcroniK steps down on top of the other player, and he wraps up game number 1 in dominant fashion, 4-2-1. This felt like it started close, but the further we got into this game, wow, it was not close at all.
No, it really wasn't. And you know, I got to say, hopefully we'll see some adjustments made from Kassio and Rezears, but I'm going to be honest, Bass. If these Liquid players are executing their intended plays this effectively, with the amount of tools they have in their tool bag, I don't know what adjustments Kassio and Rezears can make. Obviously, they're going to have to play preventative defense. They're going to have to shut down these aerial plays quickly before AcroniK and Atow can comfortably get these resets and setups. But to do so, they're going to have boost in the tank, and I think they're struggling with that as well. It's just going to be a tough hill to climb for Kassio and Rezears.
The big issue I think I'm seeing right now is just not the fact that, like, they're not getting outplayed on everything, but they are definitely not as fast as Atow and AcroniK right now. It feels like the two players are maneuvering around each other with such excellent speed. And the mechanics just feel like they're in favor of Atow and AcroniK right now. We've seen so many flip resets that have at least been threatening, and that forces Kassio and Rezears to respect their opponents tenfold. It's the same thing that we saw as the series developed between our last two competitors. Ocalid and Ahmad initially in the series are challenging everything. They're not thinking twice. Then, as we saw Cash and Relating Waves start to get better with the mechanics, they got to start taking a second. They got to back off a little bit and try and play it a little bit more methodically. The issue is that you don't have that adjustment period. It's out the gates that Rezears and Kassio have to start respecting Atow and AcroniK here. Multiple flip resets that are just perfectly on target in game number 1. And now here in game number 2, it is up to Rezears and Kassio to try and find a counter strategy to try and slow them down. Maybe if you're going to see teams dive that aggressively with mechanics, you can try and go for the counterattacks. That worked kind of well for Ocalid and Ahmad. Just, ooh, maybe also an early goal. Rezears a bit too far back. I don't think they're going to be able to make much of this.
That may be an area of the game that they can give themselves a little bit of an advantage. Depends on how well they can execute their kickoff strategies. Kassio gonna be able to put one in, and this all comes on the back of this such heavily won kickoff at the beginning of the game. They've just been able to maintain this offensive pressure for the first 14 seconds and keep Atow and AcroniK in awkward positions where they can't get a handle on the ball just yet. We'll see if that's something they continue to try to deploy as a strategy. And yes, we see it once again. Rezears, the Spanish kickoff is what many call it, opts to leave this ball, go ahead of the play, demo the second, Kassio with a free goal. And Bass, this could be a strategy that we see work out for the orange team.
Hey, listen, I'm a huge fan of bumps and demos. We said this in game number 1, and although some people, yeah, I can see you chat already calling this one cringe, but I think it's an effective strategy, and if it works, it works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and right now, nothing's really broken for AcroniK, or excuse me, for AcroniK and Atow, as they've not broken through the offense here whatsoever. Rezears, ooh, flip reset in his bag. What's he gonna do with it? Drops down to Kassio. AcroniK gets there though. And here's where we can start to see the gaps in the defense. Over-aggression out of Atow and AcroniK as they dive for play after play after play could come back to bite them if Kassio and Rezears can figure that out.
I like this style so far from Kassio and Rezears. Just really trying to apply some pressure early on in the possessions. Great save from Kassio. A drop pass across the box from AcroniK. Atow will take a nice shot, but once again, Kassio in position to defend. Only a minute has passed, Bass, and I feel like this game has been action-filled already.
Dude, it was 5 goals in game number 1. We were like, dang, what a start. It's 2 goals in a minute in game number 2, and I'm starting to think that this could be our most aggressive series all day, especially considering they're just trading demos back and forth. It's a scrapyard out there on the pitch, and I think that the scrap's going to come away with a win for Rezears. He gets a shot on target. Kassio's there for the follow-up. Atow does get a 50-50, which should relieve some of the pressure, but what now can AcroniK do with the ball? Rough first touch. He actually does recover. Looking for the bump now on Kassio. Cannot find it, but I don't think it's necessarily going to lead into an attack for them going the other way here. Top blokes, unfortunately, having to retreat back into their own half as AcroniK gets a beat out in the corner, which means all the boost in the world, but that's an interesting strategy. AcroniK goes cross-court there as Atow is just chasing the defense, and kind of feels like Atow and AcroniK are starting to struggle a little bit on options to try and put shots on target.
Yeah, it seems as though Rezears and Kassio are starting to kind of understand what their preferred strategies for attacking are, and they're starting to cut it out a little bit sooner, which I think is a great way to deal with it. When you've got players like this that can flip reset on command, air dribble into a flip reset, sometimes they can double flip reset as well. They've got all kinds of options for attack. Shut it down early. Don't let them comfortably get possession. Kassio with the speed in an awkward position from Atow. He's going to put in a third for he and Rezears.
Oh boy, yeah, there's no comfort here. Atow and AcroniK just trying to find some sort of defensive positioning. Unfortunately for them, they find a goal into the back of their net. 3-0 about halfway through this game. And all right, maybe we overestimated how one side of the series would be after game number 1. It was indeed game number 1 after all. And after we asked for adaptations out of Kassio and Rezears, they did exactly that. They are using the over-aggression, the overuse of mechanics out of Atow and AcroniK to open up extra space. Speaking of which, dive in the corner, not met by one of the players from Atow and AcroniK, and as a result, they get a chance to go the other way. Rezears off the ceiling, he's got a flip, tries to go for the 50, cannot find it. And with 2 minutes to go, Atow might be able to net the first goal here for Team Liquid as they find themselves with more aggression, but Rezears cut that out, and they'll have to restart their offense all over again.
Yeah, final 2 minutes ticking away here. 3-goal lead for Rezears. Kassio. As we said in series number 1, they can really just let the clock do the work. Pass across. Rezears with the top shelf snipe. Rezears and Kassio looking like a totally different team here in game number 2. Bass, we're not seeing much of the offensive prowess from Team Liquid. And I think that's all due to Kassio and Rezears' effectiveness on offense with their possession.
They're just making it difficult for them to find that comfort that they had in game number 1. Again, you think about it, the 2 flip resets we saw in a row basically came back-to-back within milliseconds, and that's just due to the fact that Kassio and Rezears were not taking away that space that Atow and AcroniK were playing with. Now here in this game, they're taking away the space pretty quickly, and if there is space, they're getting very well prepared for it. Good example, Kassio preps himself on the line, and despite the nice flip reset out of Atow, it is still not enough. And honestly, I don't know if there's enough time for this game to turn around at all. 80 seconds to go, unless they're basically hitting back-to-back goals right now, I think we're going to game number 3 with a tied ball game.
Yeah, with a minute left and now a 5-goal deficit, definitely does not look like Atow and AcroniK are going to be able to mount this comeback here in game 2. And we're going to see if they're able to make any adjustments here for the remaining games in the series. Obviously, with this being a best of 7, lots of time for both teams to make adjustments. Atow and AcroniK came out fast in game number 1. It worked quite well, but Kassio and Rezears seemed to make the proper adjustments. And game number 2 looks quite different.
Oh Oh boy, Rezears with a 1v1 here. I was about to say, I don't like the odds for AcroniK. He's jumped a little bit too early. This feels like the big issue we're starting to see. It's just that Atow and AcroniK are so eager to jump at the ball that if they are not met with at least a favorable 50-50, they find themselves in very awkward positions overall. That one awkward for Kassio instead, as he has to make a diving save off the backflip. AcroniK puts this one center. Atow can't get there in time. Even in the dying moments of the game, it feels like Atow and AcroniK are having some difficulty leading the rotations out of Kassio and Rezears and finding the openings that they had in game number 1. This feels like a series where if you do not adapt, you will die. Unfortunately for them, they have got to make some changes going into game number 3.
Yeah, as the final 10 seconds tick away here, pinch from Atow might provide a shooting opportunity, but Kassio snips it out. As soon as this hits the ground, obviously, this game will go in favor of Kassio and Rezears. Very different look from game 1. And I'm not really sure what to expect moving forward in the series, Bass, because game 1 was very heavily dominated by Atow and AcroniK. And then game number 2, obviously the exact opposite. Completely dominated by Kassio and Rezears. Look at that score line. Kassio, 1,200 points.
8 saves. 8 freaking saves. Like, this is one of these things where you look at a team and you go, okay, so they obviously, you know, had the majority of offense. That's crazy, right? And then you look at it again and go, oh, they had the majority of defense too. Oh, so they just kind of were the majority throughout that entire thing. Kassio, more saves by himself than the entirety of Atow and AcroniK combined. So, starting to feel like this game may just be a pendulum swing. We go back and forth. Whichever team that makes the adjustments first is probably going to end up winning this overall. I am, a little bit scared for Atow and AcroniK here because one of the biggest issues that young players in this league face is the ability to adapt when the push comes to shove. And for a player like Kassio, who's not just been around the block, but he's got it memorized, you're going to have to make some adjustments if you want to try and sneak something past him.
That's exactly right. And he's got quite the teammate in Rezears who shines in the 1s and 2s arena. We saw that at Gamers 8. Rezears playing with some other players that I unfortunately don't think are the level of Kassio, and he fared quite well throughout the Gamers 8 tournament. Now that he's got Kassio on his team, a little bit of experience, a little bit higher level player. They are a very dangerous duo. We're going to see what Game 3 has in store. Demo to open things up. Kassio, plenty of space to work with. Pops high. Shut down immediately by AcroniK, but Rezears there for the pickup. Atow, big clear. Kassio, perfectly executed touch. Will keep it out of the net for now. Rezears with possession. Booms one over towards Kassio. Cut off by AcroniK. We're still seeing that early aggression, the early challenges from Kassio and Rezears. It's not giving AcroniK and Atow space to work with. We do see a flip reset, but Kassio behind Rezears, a free possession. Kassio to the backboard. He's going to get there in time. No, Atow will clear it away. Rezears, the pop across. Intercepted by Atow, and Bass, first 60 seconds has come and gone. We really haven't seen any quality opportunities from either side.
Honestly, I kind of prefer it this way, though. It does feel like AcroniK and Atow have recognized, yep, that was what I was going to say, is they got to wait for their moment rather than trying to force it, and finally they do find it. Rezears cuts a little bit too close here on the sidewall, and as a result, easy pass center, an easy goal for the TL side.
Much better look. I'm sure they're much more satisfied with that start here in Game 3. Last game, we saw a couple of different kickoff strategies from Rezears and Kassio, and I'm curious if we'll see them pull some of that stuff back out as the series continues to unfold in front of us. Missed touch there from Rezears, and a tap across from AcroniK. Atow picks it up in a 1v1 situation and flicks past Kassio. It's going to extend that lead to 2.
Oh boy, this is a nice flick out of Atow. Recognize he's just got a little bit of space. If he hesitates for even a second longer, that's an immediate challenge out of Kassio, and that'll be enough to take it away. Unfortunately, not quite able to do so. So again, game of adaptations. It seems like Atow and AcroniK have figured out what their adaptations need to be. Stop overextending themselves. Go for individual plays rather than team plays that force your entire team into offense. And speaking of force into offense, Atow forces both of the players on the top bloke side to try and commit for that one to avoid a musty flick that surely would have done him dirty. Speaking of doing dirty, Rezears got a flip reset in the bag. He's not going to use it, and instead it's Atow with an ego challenge at midfield that finds the 3-0.
Atow really doing his thing. Hat trick here in game number 3. with 3 minutes and 17 seconds left to play. I think he was dissatisfied with the way game number 2 happened.
Just a bit.
Looking to flip the script a little bit. And I see someone in chat saying the series is weird, and, you know, it does feel kind of weird, right? It's been very one-sided in both, or excuse me, in all 3 games. I guess games number 3 is not over just yet. Got lots of time left, but like you said, I think you called it earlier, a pendulum swing. Momentum heading back and forth between these 2 teams. See if that rings true for the remaining 3 minutes of game number 3. Atow from the ceiling. We'll get that reset. AcroniK not able to get the double touch underneath the crossbar. Rezears with possession, working down the sidewall. Not much boost to work with, but he will put a shot on target. Atow there in position. Will make the catch. Kassio turning, disrupting the transition play. AcroniK up the field to Atow. Flicks softly. And Rezears will take over. Working down that right side. AcroniK is going to shut it down. Looks for the pinch infield. Kassio, too awkward. Not going to be able to stay goal side. Atow will put in a 4th.
He's got 4 goals, and we are only halfway through this game. I really don't know what it is about this series, but it has been weird, and that is the only word that I can use, as it just continues to go back and forth, and neither side really being able to find themselves overwhelming control, or at least I should say response to the overwhelming control. As Rezears, again, he's trying for flip resets. He's going for some nice plays. Theoretically, that should work, but when Atow is just immediately on top of you and challenging you so egotistically, I don't know what you're supposed to do. And honestly, what are you supposed to do when you're getting sent to the graveyard as well? Atow, decent touch off the backboard, can't find the follow-up, and Kassio will find a breakaway, but he's not going to get much further than midfield. That due to a 50-50, but Atow, too much faith in his teammate, does not rotate back, expecting to be able to find a follow-up touch, and instead, it's Rezears who finds the follow-up.
Beautiful stuff there. Rezears understanding what Kassio was intending to do. That 50-50 dropping perfectly in front of him. And he's going to put one in. They still have plenty of time left. They obviously have a deficit of 3 to overcome, but with 2 minutes left, very doable. Kassio
Whoa!
From the ceiling. Almost a nice play. Hits the crossbar and out. Blocked away by Atow.
Uh-oh.
Rezears is going to put one in. A beautiful challenge. Great read on the play. Cut that deficit down to 2, Bass. Plenty of time left.
Sometimes getting an early lead is not actually as beneficial as you might think. Sometimes all it does is bolster your confidence a bit too high, and you start going for challenges out of midfield that you probably shouldn't be going for. And unfortunately, what we're seeing right now, after 2 weak challenges out of midfield in a row, it feels like Rezears and Kassio are starting to figure out exactly how Atow and AcroniK want to play this game, and that is aggression. Good example there. Again, AcroniK dives at this one. Rezears is able to get around both of the Team Liquid players. But Kassio, well, he takes a play out of the other team's book here and overextends as well. It doesn't matter, though, because Atow messes about on the line. I don't know if he was just messing around or if he just couldn't wrap himself around the ball, but a chance to put the game away, and it doesn't come to fruition.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to run some more time off the clock. I'm not sure, but I think I would go ahead and secure that 5th goal and a 3-goal lead. It may not matter towards the end of this, but if it does end up costing him this game, I think he's going to be quite upset with himself. 47 seconds left. Still a 2-goal lead. Kassio is going to put one towards the net. It's not on target. AcroniK with control into his own corner. Doing a great job of milking this clock. A favorable 50-50, and Atow sends one back over into the corner. Just continuing to hold on to possession. Make sure that if Rezears and Kassio get an opportunity, they're going to have to earn it. 15 seconds remain. Kassio from the corner. About half a tank of boost to work with. AcroniK with a quick challenge. He's going to shut it down. And the final 5 seconds tick away, Bass. Fortunately for the Team Liquid side, that silly mistake does not come back to bite them. They will go ahead and take the lead in the series 2-1.
I gotta be careful, though. It definitely feels like Kassio and Rezears, they're doing the correct thing here and making the adjustments to make this team overextend. Atow and AcroniK, like we mentioned before, probably have the mechanical edge in this series. Honestly, they probably have the mechanical edge on most of Europe at this point, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to win. The mechanics are one part of the equation. The other half of it is being able to play around each other, and that was what we saw at the beginning of the game, but as the 50-50 became a little bit awkward the further that we went into this game, it became clear that Rezears and Kassio were not necessarily playing for the counterattacks, but playing for the overextensions. They were waiting for the moment where Atow and AcroniK didn't necessarily link up perfectly and then bolt the other way. That is kind of how you want to play against a team that has the highest of ceilings but the lowest of floors. It's how a lot of people played against Moist last season, was that, okay, if you guys want to try and play with mechanics the whole time, we'll just wait till you make a mistake and then counterattack and punish the other way. It's a good idea to Rezears and Kassio. The issue is they made a mountain out of a molehill. It was already 4-0 by the time they figured that out.
You're definitely right. And the only problem with that strategy is you need them to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
And if Atow and AcroniK are executing in the manner that we know that they can and what they've shown us so far, there may not be too many mistakes to counter and punish. We'll see what Kassio and Rezears have in store here in game number 4. I really enjoyed the fact that they were willing to switch up some of their kickoff strategies. Hopefully we'll see some more of that throughout the remainder of this series. AcroniK is going to get possession. Just put a pot shot on target. Rezears over to the side. Kassio with possession. Does get it past one. Also gets a demo on Atow. AcroniK going to bring it down into a dribble, double commit.
Whoa.
Kassio will put it on target. Atow in position. We'll keep it out of the net for now. Over to the sidewall, the fake. Obstacle underneath. Kassio backing up Rezears. A little bit of awkward play in the corner. Rezears will finally move forward and take possession. Working past one. Gets it down the sideline. Atow will take over. Oh my goodness. A few wall dashes. Allows Atow to conserve that boost to attack. Shut down by the defense. Atow pops to the middle of the field. Rezears going to be the first to it. Awkward play on the backboard. AcroniK sends it safely into the corner. Kassio looking to keep the offensive press alive. Rezears taking his turn in the corner. Can he get it out past Atow? No, he can't. Atow over to AcroniK. AcroniK into the corner. Secures that boost and gets a nice touch. That's going to pop it high. Rezears has to use most of the boost in his tank to get up, get around that. Atow pops it across the field to AcroniK. Bass. Almost a minute and a half gone by. We've really only seen a couple of decent shots on target from either side.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad that I was going to start off this one by being, all right, do you think this is going to be, the similar pendulum swing where all of a sudden Rezears and Kassio just kind of pull away with this one? Glad I didn't ask, because I don't think it's going to happen. If they do win this, it's probably going to be a close battle, as so far every single touch has been so heavily judged. Boomers like that, and kind of commonplace right now between the two teams, but the big difference is that people are patiently waiting to see what is the result of that. Good example here as, okay, AcroniK gets back to them. I was going to say, the boomer to the backboard just has both of the players from Team Liquid waiting, but they might have waited a bit too long, because now they've given a chance for, I was going to say, Rezears and Kassio to set up a solid offense. A boomer the other way, though, and it's not necessarily going to stay there for all too long. AcroniK almost overplays his hand, but is able to recover in time and gets a decent touch out to midfield despite the lack of boost. We're halfway through the game. We are still without a goal. I could have eaten my words with that one had the shot gotten past the defense, but a demo opens up some space, but not enough to find our first goal.
Half the game gone. Rezears from the side, fakes that musty flick. AcroniK respects it. Stays grounded. Absorbs a 50. Atow pressing forward down the left side of the field. Rezears, not the greatest touch, does drop it out to AcroniK. AcroniK gets it past one. Rezears will be there for the collection. Nice 50 along the sidewall is going to provide him with some space to work with. Goes high, saves that dodge for the last moment. Doesn't use it very effectively. Kassio does move in for the shot, but AcroniK positioned well. Rezears up over one. It's a nice challenge. Atow handles it well. Drags it out into the middle of the field. A little bit of boost to work with. He is going to land his reset. Comes down to the ground. The wave dash, followed by a shot. Blocked away by Rezears. Final minute and 30. Both teams struggling to pierce past the back line. Atow with an attempt. AcroniK going to be there for the follow-up, and Team Liquid will strike first here in Game 4.
I'm honestly believing... All right, let's see. Atow. Yeah, if he doesn't touch that, I think that actually goes into the back of the net. It's okay. They still find themselves the goal no matter what. And hey, it doesn't matter who scores as long as the goal is found no matter what. 90 seconds left here in this one. Still feels like we could see a response out of Rezears and Kassio, but I think the big difference between this game and honestly the first 3 overall is there is no longer that dive without a care. Both teams are starting to play this a lot more methodically. Now it's starting to look similar to the last series we saw. And shots like that, saves like that, very similar as well. Both teams with excellent precision to keep this one squared away at 1-0 going into the last minute of the game. So, chance here for AcroniK. He's got some boost in the tank. What can he do with it? Not much. Kassio reads it better than him. And Rezears pops this one the other way. There goes all the offensive pressure that the Team Liquid side were trying to build.
AcroniK will be back in time. Wait a second. He might have found one far post. Does hit the post and bounce out. Kassio beat to the challenge by Atow. Atow sends one across. AcroniK's up early. I don't think he can get this back on target. Just drops it into the opposite corner. Rezears looking for Kassio. Atow reads it perfectly. Pops high. AcroniK puts a long shot. Atow, very aggressive, ambitious play. Looking for the block inside the final 30 seconds. Team Liquid not pulling their foot off the gas. Rezears looks for a reset. Shut down by Atow. Rezears, catch on the sidewall. He does have boost to work with. The flip, funky flip reset on the ground. Ends up popping the ball around. Kassio follow it up. Can't get it underneath the crossbar, but Rezears is there for the follow-up. 7 seconds left, Bass, and we're tied up once again.
This is why I said you can't count them out. It felt like they were just waiting for that one mistake. We talked about that in between games, and we're going to talk about it now because there it is, a single misplay off the backboard, and already Kassio and Rezears are there. Honestly, I think if Rezears hadn't been there, Kassio still probably would have been able to wrap himself around that one. But can they wrap themselves around the end of this game before it goes to overtime? AcroniK tries to wrap one into the back of the net there as he comes off the backboard with precision. But unfortunately, the defense stands tall, and we head to overtime, game number 4.
Overtime. It's my favorite time, actually, Bass. So much fun. AcroniK up to the ceiling. Puts one far post. It is off target, but Rezears is there for the clear anyways. Atow, beautiful. Flip reset into the corner. Almost gets that perfect read on the shot. And we're seeing Liquid turn up that aggression. Flex some of those mechanics here. Early in overtime. Rezears up high. Does get his reset. Puts it over AcroniK. There for the dunk, and Rezears does it all himself. Rezears, the flip reset dunk to close out overtime. Beautiful execution.
Oh, he heard you saying, hey, Team Liquid's got some nice mechanics. He goes, hold on, hold my mustache. Let me see what I can do here. Can I find myself a dunk to put Team Liquid into the ground? And indeed, he does. Rezears, again, that's what people were talking about you during the offseason, my guy. Shots like that will put you on the map no matter where you are.
Wow. Rezears, if you guys are not familiar with him, he needs to be on your radar. Definitely going to be one of these underrated players come next RLCS season. But Bass, I got a more important question. Can I please have permission to use that phrase, hold my mustache?
Oh, absolutely. Any time of the day.
That made me very happy. I love that.
All right, listen, I'm happy with their logo. I'm happy to see Top Lokes back into this one. And honestly, I'm happy to see a good series here. Again, considering the fact that the first couple of games just kind of swang back and forth, now that we're getting a little bit more of a close game, this really is anybody's to win. This is the type of series we are hoping for. I do hope that we can see AcroniK and Atow try and play a little bit less, I don't know, mechanically. It feels like this is a team who could be going for passing plays, who could be going for these interesting bump or demolition plays, and instead they're just going for flip resets every time. It's awesome to watch. I just don't know if it's as effective as maybe some of the other options that they have.
I definitely hear you, Bass, and I think that is definitely something for them to reflect on and evaluate how they want to move forward. But me personally, hey, let me see some more flip resets. In fact, instead of doing one, why don't they turn it up to a double flip reset? Maybe that's the solution.
That's fair.
We'll see what they have in store here.
Trying to be Zanil.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what they have in store here in game number 5. Tight series. We're all level 2-2. Bass, we might have us another full Game 7 series. Please, pretty please.
do I have to talk to Papa Psionics about that? Who do I have to ask for a Game 7? Do I have to ask to Atow, or do I have to ask the post to let this one in? No such luck. Early offense here for Team Liquid, but they cannot strike. Kassio, dude, what has his defense been today? I feel like he's in the way of almost every single shot.
Ooh.
The one time he does not get prepared for the shot, though, and it will go in.
You're exactly right, Bass. The defense today has been seriously impressive. And we do have a little bit of a misstep there from Kassio. I don't think he was anticipating Atow being able to get that shot on target from that position. But that's what happens when you don't respect the prowess of your opponent. With that being said, Liquid will take the lead here in Game 5. Trying to take the lead in the series. AcroniK beats Rezears to the challenge. Atow steals a boost and backs off. AcroniK with a nice catch and flick. Will require Rezears to make a play defensively. He does so perfectly. Collects up to the backboard, gets a clear away. Now Atow doing the same from his own end. Kassio will snuff it out. AcroniK pops high. Does get a secondary touch, looking to follow it up. But Rezears will send it into his own corner. A little bit of back and forth. No one really establishing that offensive presence. It will transition down to the other end of the pitch. And
what?
I guess the net is open right there. Kassio shoots from about midfield and no one there to make the save.
All right, I got to watch this one back. Is anything going on? Atow is being chased by Rezears. Yeah, on the backboard. That's where the interference comes. And by the time that they recognize that that's happening, AcroniK can't get back to the ball. Okay, a little bit more choreographed, a little bit clever, and that's honestly why I said I want to see more team plays, bumps, demos, and in between. I hope this one hits the back of the net. It's not going to, unfortunately, and Atow will actually come away with a really solid touch. What about the double? Not gonna happen. And actually, Rezears now, he gets the counter the other way. This one goes off the backboard, and all of a sudden, we started off in a little bit of a methodical match. Now we're playing tennis as the two teams just boom it back and forth.
They sure are booming it, but they're putting some nice quality chances on target. Rezears followed up a nice opportunity from AcroniK with an opportunity of his own. Gonna land a reset, pop one awkwardly to the side of the net. AcroniK will take over. Into the sky, Kassio not willing to let AcroniK land that reset. Wants to shut it down as quickly as possible. Follows it up with a big boom to the blue side backboard. AcroniK reads it well, sends it to the corner. Kassio looking for the far post snipe. Read well by AcroniK. Still level 1-1. Just under 3 minutes left to play. Kassio. Soft touch, not an ideal play. Will end up handing over possession. AcroniK. Air dribble over to the side of the net. Atow, a nice cut across. It's going to allow him a chance to pick up this midfield boost. Try to make an aerial play. Shut down by Kassio. He follows it up with a bump for good measure. Now AcroniK. Awkward landing on the backboard. Rezears pops one to the midfield, but Atow's going to be first to it. High in the skies. Can he get it past Kassio? No, he can't. Kassio, a nice 50-50. Can he accelerate this down the pitch quick enough? No, he can't. Atow back in time. Will secure his corner boost as well. Kassio, the pass out to Rezears. And Bass, once again, we're in that back and forth stage. No one really able to establish that extended stay on offense, but do we get a read here from Kassio, actually? Blocked away by the Liquid defense inside the final 2 minutes, Bass.
We're starting to see kind of what we were hoping for, which was Atow and AcroniK recognize that their overextensions and the little misplays from them are what have been leaving them in the dust on repeat. So now they're not necessarily trying to get too aggressive. They're picking their challenges very wisely, and I think that's exactly how they need to play. The issue for them, though, is that the last couple of games have been decided by them either making or breaking with a mistake. If they cannot avoid that mistake here in this fifth game, they're going to go down 3-2 in the series and potentially lose the series overall if they cannot turn it around. So we're going to turn it around. How about bump everybody instead? There is no turnaround here for AcroniK. He just kind of has to look as Rezears comes through like a battering ram and accept his fate.
That is what you're pointing out, though. We have Atow challenging extremely aggressively. Instead of just forcing the flick and maybe staying back to support his teammate, leaves AcroniK in a 1v1 situation with Kassio tagging along as a follow-up option. AcroniK gets bumped out of the way. That's going to allow Rezears to put in a second. They take the lead with a minute 10 left on the clock. Atow will get possession, flicks high. Kassio to his own backboard, beat to the touch by Atow. AcroniK, unfortunately, pops off the crossbar. will be able to maintain possession, keep the offensive press potentially alive. Atow to the backboard. Kassio clears it away. Inside the final 60. AcroniK, not much boost to work with. We'll be able to pop this into the midfield up high. Atow with a win. AcroniK quickly up. AcroniK, what an angle! Atow there for the finish. Once again, Baz, we're tied up 2-2.
I got so nervous for a second here. I saw this one go off the bar, and I was like, this is just wrong if this doesn't end up going to the back net. He read it so perfectly, and Atow just there to secure it at that point. Honestly, this is what we were looking for, though. That's the cohesion you need. A passing play through the air, and once it is not on target, Atow so quick to close that gap. This is how I said that Atow and AcroniK would start to get themselves more even with the team plays that we're seeing out of Rezears and Kassio. Question, though, is can they take the advantage here with 30 seconds to go? We could be seeing our second overtime in a row. I'm not going to be, against that, but definitely feels like for Atow and AcroniK right now, if they really want to get a grip on the series and have good momentum going in the game number 6, they've got to try and find this one before the end of regulation. And oh boy, they got to avoid double commits like that. They get lucky, a good 50-50 out of midfield will actually give a chance the other way. But out of the corner, Rezears easily wraps himself around this one, and Kassio gets the follow-up. Drop down center, is someone there? Oh my word, AcroniK with space, and Rezears takes it away. Good 50-50, and the follow-up flip reset will hit the ground. We've got overtime, game number 5.
Overtime, let me say it one more time. It's my favorite time. Favorable kickoff. Atow with a shot. Can Rezears get there in time? Yes, he can. Pinches it off the crossbar to keep it alive for now. Liquid applying immediate pressure as we walk into overtime. And the top blokes roster survives by the skin of their teeth.
Nick, what you got here? Fakes out one, goes low. Rezears awkward. Atow off the bar and out. Overwhelming pressure for Team Liquid, and they still cannot come away with a goal.
Oh my goodness. It's got to be frustrating, but AcroniK and Atow, all the pressure. And Kassio and Rezears continue to make these incredible saves to stay alive, or will they turn things around and begin pressing offensively? Kassio pops high, gets bumped off the play immediately. Atow over to the sidewall, will connect on this double touch. Following it up, provides some pressure. Rezears with a pass across. Kassio does tap one down the field, but has no boost and has to retreat. Atow, possession off the sidewall. A pop around, can he get this down and in? No! He hits the backboard, but the offense is still alive. AcroniK knocks one back into the corner, gets the bump. Atow has a shot. Kassio not able to read it. AcroniK there for the follow-up, the layoff pass. Atow back into the corner. The pass out. AcroniK should be there. Rezears once again. The last moment save. Rezears coming up huge on the backside for the top blokes defense.
Oh, they're doing so well, but I'm starting to worry. I feel like they're using up all of their boost on every single one of these plays. Finally, Rezears does pick up a corner, and that might now give enough time to clear this one out to midfield and get an offense together for top blokes. Apparently not. Right back into their half again, and Kassio has to try and read this one cleverly off the backboard. But again, uses all of his boost to do so. And with that corner steal out of AcroniK, it's becoming rougher and rougher to find an outing here for top blokes. Team Liquid might just be able to end this one after 18,000 shots that go off the woodwork. Finally, the 18,001 is the one to hit the back of the net.
Goodness gracious. They're just making sure of the structural integrity of the net. They want to make sure the post is going to hold up. The crossbar is going to hold up throughout the remainder of this tournament. I appreciate them. That's very thoughtful. They finally get one inside the frame. Look at the shots, Bass. 20.
I wonder how many of those came in overtime. I gotta imagine at least like 10 of them, honestly. Just the amount of unloading. Shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. And eventually, it hits the back of the net. And, well, the pattern continues here, Hoodie. Game 1, Atow and AcroniK. Game 2, Kassio Rezears. Game 3, Atow and AcroniK. Game 4, you get the idea. Back and forth and back and forth. Game number 6, theoretically, should now go in favor of Kassio and Rezears, and we get a game number 7. But again, with the way that Atow and AcroniK are starting to play, where they are turning up the heat but not overextending, that is a much more difficult task than before.
It definitely is, but I'm going to say that I hope the trend continues, because if we go 2 back-to-back Game 7s, what a great way to start the event. Even if not, so far the players have put on such an incredible show. We appreciate everyone hanging out, watching. Hope you all are having a wonderful weekend, enjoying the tournament. We're going to go ahead and get game number 6 underway. Players loaded in. Do we see some kickoff shenanigans to start this game?
Oh, please.
Oh, please. We sure do. Kassio, he will go ahead and take possession. Didn't work out as intended, but it will be something they can make offensive press out of. They take a shot, and immediately Atow sends it away. AcroniK's going to have his opportunity on that end. Blocked once again. Now Rezears from the sidewall, looking for the dunk. AcroniK understands no threat. Lets it safely go to the corner. The ground pinch. He's going to send it across to Atow, who does have the read on it, but Rezears will block it before he gets an opportunity to shoot. Atow into the corner, looking for the read. Almost lands the finesse touch. Just out of reach, and a big pinch clear. We'll send it down to the blue end. AcroniK, nice follow-up clear. Provides him with an opportunity, but Rezears positions well. Atow, ceiling pinch, does drop it in front of the net. AcroniK. He does commit, but instead just grabs the corner boost and backs off. Full tank, AcroniK. Plenty of space, pops past one. Rezears gets bumped by Atow, and that's going to float in. Liquid Strike first here in Game 6.
Hey, I was asking for more demo plays. I was asking for physicality, and finally we do see it. It's not exactly what I was expecting, as it's a dive out of nowhere that just kind of catches Rezears off guard. But hey, a bump's a bump, a goal is a goal, and with 3:45 left on the clock, Team Liquid looked like they could wrap this series up right here and now. No guarantees at this point, though. They still have a long game ahead of them, and in addition, they've got some awkwardness on the line. Somehow, Kassio beat out to the ball, though, and Team Liquid can take a little bit of a sigh of relief, even though the pressure is still on.
Rezears is going to take his opportunity from the ceiling. Holds on to the dodge, comes to the ground. It does fake out Atow, but AcroniK there for backup. Kassio handles the backboard pop well. Rezears out to Kassio. He's going to catch. Pick up that midfield boost. Atow quick to the challenge. AcroniK waiting back. Rezears absorbs the challenge. Both he and Kassio pick up a full tank of boost. What are they going to do with it? Follows it up. A nice 50 with Atow. AcroniK looking for the pinch. Rezears backs off, and Atow quick to it. We've mentioned it a couple of times throughout the first couple of series, but they're doing well to let the time tick off this clock. Not taking any unnecessary risks. Atow and AcroniK holding that back line down strong.
Ooh, that's a good touch from Rezears, though. Might be able to work as a breakaway play. Not if Atow has anything to say about it. Never mind, Kassio's got something even more to say about it. He gets a shot on target, forcing AcroniK into a fantastic save, but it's not really going to work out. As we go the other way, Atow does not need his flip reset. Fakes low, and that'll work enough to catch everybody jumping.
Goodness gracious. Here's the problem when you are a mechanical player. The problem for your opponents is they have to respect it. And Rezears did. He went for the flip reset block, and Atow just lets it fall to the ground. Kassio goes for the wave dash block, and Atow just decides not to hit it. And the ball slowly bounces in. Liquid extend that lead to 2. Final 2 minutes here in Game 6. Rezears and Kassio going to have to create a little bit more quality opportunities. And they need to do it now. AcroniK with a nice flick. Rezears will keep it out. Rezears with a big clear, and that's going to be a freebie. Maybe the counterattack opportunity that you talked about, Bass, maybe that will be enough.
I mean, honestly, it's very possible. Again, and this is something we have seen out of AcroniK and Atow before, and that's the big issue, is that once their confidence starts to build, then they start to get more aggressive. And once they get more aggressive, more holes open up on their back line. We knew this would be an offensively based series, but the one player in this lobby that I think is really focused on defense has been Kassio. So if there's anybody that is going to take advantage of the over-aggression and overextensions, it is going to be this top bloke side. Let's see, though, can they find themselves an equalizer and find ourselves in, I believe, our 3rd overtime in
Oh,
bro. If they put on a shot here, they should be able to find it. Kassio off target. What about the follow-up? It will not be. Despite the player in net, they cannot recover in time, and we're tied up.
This aerial was so slow. Look at him just taking his time, making sure.
Like an aerial I would have.
That's right. Just going to make sure we don't ping another one off the crossbar. Great stuff there from Kassio. And with a minute 23 left on the clock, we're all level once again. The potential of Game 7 stays alive. AcroniK a pass down to Atow. Pops it high in the corner. Rezears will be there. Collects it. Sends it past Atow. AcroniK should be able to get to this. Pops it past Kassio. Pops it to himself on the sidewall. A demo may not work out in their favor. AcroniK lands in front of it. Does backflip one on target, but Rezears in position to make the save. Atow up high. Blocked at the last moment. Kassio looking to work down the sideline. No boost in the tank. Dispossessed by AcroniK. Rezears, 20 to work with. Does get it past one. 0 left in the tank. Kassio demoed from behind. Atow doesn't want to give them an opportunity. Atow once again with the fake. And again, he opts to leave it. Atow twice in a row, threatening the mechanical play, opting for the leave. Perfect execution pass. And Liquid reclaim the lead here with 30 seconds left.
I truly believe the first one, that was not intended. He tried to go for a flip reset, didn't quite get the power, and worked out as fake. That second one, nah, that was choreographed the entire way through. My man is dancing around the defense. Absolutely incredible stuff. And it might just be enough to net them a championship Sunday appearance. Atow looking to guarantee that with a flip reset in front of the net. Kassio with a good takeaway. With 20 seconds left at this point, all that we really need to see out of Team Liquid is just put on the pressure and not allow their opponents to break away. And I don't think they're going to get one. Rezears has to use a wave dash just to try and get it out to midfield. And as Atow takes it over one, takes it over two, he takes the game in the series as well. 6 seconds to go, and the dagger from Atow.
The man said he's had enough. We've gone back and forth for too long. He's pulling out the flip resets. He's pulling out the flip reset fakes. He's pulling out the air dribbles. All the stops, and it took it all. Because Kassio and Rezears' defense was incredible throughout the series. But Liquid, offense just a bit too powerful. They're going to take it in game.